Welcome to the JD Bunkis podcast. Said a couple of weeks ago that the Raptors were going to become one of the sexier teams in the NBA from a wider narrative standpoint. The way their schedule lined up and the way that they were playing, it seemed fairly obvious to me that they were going to tear off a bunch of wins, and it was going to force the NBA world to take notice, especially given what is a watered-down Eastern Conference full of teams that don't really have the look of a champion. The Raptors are new. Brandon Ingram is new. Their team is healthy. Nobody's really had a look at them. And so that transpired. And I've chatted a few times about how this team has got to prove it against some better competition. That, yeah, we're not going to judge things like the Ingram trade or the ceiling of this team until you watch them through a larger sample of the season. That being said, last night, there's no Toronto sports on. There's no football on. I got to just flip around what was a pretty light schedule in the NHL, and I got to watch a bunch of NBA games. And, yeah, I watched some Montreal and Winnipeg. Montreal, of course, pulls it out in overtime. But I took in a bunch of Eastern Conference teams, some of the teams that are at the very top, the groups that are supposed to be competing with the Raptors. Watched the Atlanta Hawks, a team that is very beloved by the NBA community at large. God, they love Jalen Johnson. They got smoked by the Los Angeles Clippers, who are in a complete freefall. Maybe Chris Paul was the problem. Watch the Orlando Magic. Yeah, no Paolo, but a team that was supposed to take a step, traded 1 million first-round picks to get Desmond Bane because they looked at this same conference and they saw a window that they wanted to try and seize, and they viewed Desmond Bane as a huge release valve for their issues with three-point shooting over the last couple of seasons. They're missing guard play. And boy, a guy who is one of the more popular nerd players in the NBA was supposed to kind of catapult them into a different echelon. And they got smoked by the San Antonio Spurs. They came back late, fake comeback, to lose to a Spurs team that didn't have Wemby, didn't have Castle. Yeah, all right. Watched the Cleveland Cavaliers, who played their core four. Yeah, they don't have Jared Allen. Yes, they're missing a bunch of guys that give them depth. I still think that they're one of the better teams in the East, but they got pummeled by a Portland Trailblazers team that played the night before against the Toronto Raptors. Watch the Detroit Pistons play the Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I'm going to get to in a second, with Bobby Marks, leaves the game with a calf strain. We'll say there's a little Vince Carter stuff to this. Little Vince Carter percolating with Giannis. And the Pistons lose to that Bucks team that doesn't have Giannis in a bunch of the game. My point here, where I'm going with this, is, yeah, and the Bulls lost to the Nets. Like, the East is terrible. Like, truly terrible. And on any given night, you can look at a favorite and just say, oh, the Heat lost. I forgot the Heat lost to the Mavericks. Another team that's been in free fall this season. Like, you cannot trust any team in the Eastern Conference. And you have to respect the fact that the Raptors, despite a weak schedule, have been able to take care of business. They're now one of only four teams right now that have 14 wins. And they're facing a team tonight that has that. I'm a little bummed out that Luka Doncic is not playing because, again, you want to see this group stress tested. But if they lose or if they win this game, I don't want to hear about any excuses about no Luka Doncic because you can only play who's in front of you, and the Raptors continue to take advantage of their schedule. They are winning games that a bunch of other teams are not. And so the NBA at large can continue to make these picks, right? Oh, the Atlanta Hawks. And a lot of it's based on, too, these future assets that these teams have and cap space and ways for them to improve. But I was thinking about that a lot last night as well with the Giannis stuff. So for me, and I've made this clear many, many times because Giannis has been rumored with the Raptors for years. Obviously, he was a Masai Ujiri guy. Masai loved him. There was always chatter that they wanted to grab him in the draft, that he remained obsessed with him throughout his career. Why wouldn't he? Giannis is incredible. He turned into one of the best players truly in NBA history. I would absolutely trade Scotty Barnes in order to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think that's a hot take. I don't care about the age. I don't care about whatever Scotty Barnes' perceived upside is. If you could do a deal that's centered around Barnes, I think you do it. The problem is I don't really see how the Raptors get in the conversation for Giannis Antetokounmpo, even with Barnes on the table. My thought would be that other teams can overwhelm the Spurs with future assets that are much better than what the Raptors have. Because you have to live in the world where, okay, you're giving up Barnes, but that's not enough money just to get you Giannis. You're going to have to do more than that. You're going to have to add other pieces. Are you going to have to add RJ Barrett's salary? Well, now are you good enough if you're the Quickly Ingram Giannis team? You're good enough to win in the East. Would they do a deal that, like, are they really high on Colin Murray-Boyle? Are they really high on Grady Dick? How many of your future first-round picks would you have to give up for them to feel truly enticed? Maybe. But to me, just when I look at other teams, I think you would be more willing to sacrifice your future assets thinking you were adding Giannis to a team that had more certainty to not just win the Eastern Conference, but to end up in a series with potentially the Oklahoma City Thunder and actually win. And that's what's looming over all of this. So if you haven't seen it, Giannis Antetokounmpo is rumored now by multiple different outlets, one being Shams Charania, the other being Brian Windhorst. Windhorst was a little bit more firm in his belief that Giannis has already asked for a trade. Saw Adam Schefter even opining in, saying that the Knicks were the only place that Giannis had interest in over the summer. But Shams essentially saying that the Bucks and Giannis have now started to engage in talks as to whether him staying in Milwaukee for the long term or a trade makes more sense. And I think if you've got, I think if you've got a brain, you see this as Giannis wants out. They can try to massage this any way they want to. They can try and put this as, oh, well, they're discussing whether it makes sense for the future. Like, this guy wants out. I didn't watch the Bucks lose to the Wizards the other night. I was at the office Christmas party, but I did get people messaging me saying that this was a time where it looked like Giannis quit, that he looks a bit more checked out. Now you throw in this injury, you throw in these rumors, and it's tough not to think that this guy isn't going to be a Milwaukee Buck, maybe even at some point this season. Tough to make a Giannis trade. The Bucks don't own all of their picks. But what I have a problem grappling with is how the rest of the league views Oklahoma City. Because this team is looking like they could shatter the wins record. And they were missing their second best player for a large stretch of it. They got scared last playoffs by the Denver Nuggets. I think Denver's better this year. I think Houston's better this year. Anything can happen. But, man, this Oklahoma City team looks like an absolute juggernaut. And if you're another group that is trying to get in on what could be a Giannis sweepstakes, I'm sure there will be a lot of teams that line up for it. I don't think you're just evaluating the Eastern Conference. I think you're evaluating whether or not you can win a title. And I am curious to see how many teams actually emerge with serious offers given those parameters. Bobby Marks is a front office insider for ESPN. He's a friend of the show and former Nets assistant GM. And he joins me now. What's up, Bobby? How we doing?
Good. How we doing?
I'm doing okay. I want to start with this. So last night I'm watching a bunch of games, right? I throw on the Atlanta Hawks. They get smoked. I watched the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are not healthy. I get it, but they still had four of their best players in that one. This wasn't like a Darius Garland rest game. They get pumped by a Portland team that the Raptors handled the night before. Watching the Orlando Magic, a team that went all in for Desmond Bane, and they can't beat the Spurs without Wemby. Go on down the line. The Heat lose to the Mavericks. It's just the Pistons lose to the Bucks with Giannis. And basically every night I keep looking at the slate and thinking, all right, maybe this team in the East is going to emerge. Maybe this team in the East has a higher ceiling than I anticipate. And all I keep coming away with is that I think that the Raptors are in a group of like 4 or 5 teams that could emerge from the Eastern Conference. And in a playoff series, if I had to pick it today, I don't know how you would stack the favorites in all of this. Like, this is as weak and as flat as I can remember it being in a very long time.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think it's probably, we had thought Cleveland and New York were going to be the two teams just based on what they did a year ago, one getting to a conference finals, the other one having the most wins here. You're right. I mean, Cleveland, I think even with the injuries, I think it's been disappointing so far because there are some nights they look really good, and there's some nights like last night, a Portland team coming off a back-to-back where they do look flat. New York is really good at home, but suspect on the road. I think probably the most dangerous team might be Boston,
Weirdly
which we
enough,
all
Boston's
probably
scrappy, man. Boston's good.
which we probably didn't think that was going to be the case. But yeah, you're right. There's no one dominant team out there. I said, if you're in Toronto and you can just string along games, just take 10 game segments of the season and go 7-3 along the way. You're going to look up in April, and you're going to be like, how did we get 55 wins?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like, so yeah, and it will be interesting when we get closer to February 5th, which is the trade deadline, as far as what teams are jockeying to go out and get that player they think could put them over the hump, or maybe think teams are going to be like, you know what, we're good as we are right now, just because this Eastern Conference is pretty wide open.
Well, that's the way that I'm kind of trying to frame this, which is if you're a team in the East and you're watching what's going on out west with Oklahoma City, who doesn't even have Jalen Williams for a large stretch of the season and continues to just pummel teams, and then you look at Denver's step forward, which I think is pretty clear, and the utter just dominance of Nikolai Jokic this season, the Rockets' progression, and the fact that Reed Shepherd has actually been more than competent at running their offense, and that a lot of their guys look like they've taken a step. Durant doesn't look washed up. I I don't know if you're looking at it and saying, okay, well, now is the time to seize the East and be
Yeah.
aggressive with an asset pile, or if you're saying, okay, great, we could win the Eastern Conference, but where is that ultimately going to get us if we get into a finals and we lose in 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it both ways.
Yeah.
I think if I was looking at it, I would probably be like, hey, as great as Oklahoma City is, the Western Conference is a gauntlet. And what is the Thunder team going to look like when they get through 3 rounds of the Western Conference playoffs?
Yeah.
And what's the Thunder team? And I might be wrong there, and that Thunder team might cruise through like some of these dominant teams have been, but you still have to get through. You still have to get through Denver, as you mentioned, Houston, the Lakers, probably in that group, and it's funny how one series, Oklahoma City, if they lose to Denver last year in 7 games, it's
Yeah.
the dynamics change a lot here as far as should this group stay together. Well, the pressure of getting to an NBA Finals here, but they get through it. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing as far as like the West is extremely difficult. We'll probably see some injuries along the way here. But if you're an Eastern Conference team, you're thinking, I'm not worried about Oklahoma City right now, right? I'm just let me get through. Let me figure out how we can get through an Eastern Conference that, as we've talked about, is pretty average.
Yeah. Well, and you also probably have to, again, thinking long term, factor in the ideas of a Celtics team that is better than we anticipated without Tatum will eventually get Jason Tatum back. I don't know if it'll end up being this year like some of the prognosticators have it, but even if you look at next year, it'll be the return of Halliburton with a Pacers team that's also going to have a top pick, which maybe
Yep.
they end up shipping out, or maybe they just end up adding to their team, and a Celtics group that's going to add one of the best players in the NBA. So maybe you are trying to seize this opportunity. And that's what makes this Giannis stuff even more fascinating. Like, if you're the Bucks, you clearly have to take the best deal that's on the table. But my guess is their preference would not be an Eastern Conference team.
Right.
Like, you don't want to trade Giannis in the division and watch him play you a bunch of times and have, one of the most, if not the most famous player of your franchise come to town all the time and, beat the brakes off you. I don't know how you feel about that. But where are you with the Giannis stuff? Because there's the Shams report where he's saying they're just talking. Wendy's way more firm about it, saying, no, he's requested a trade. This has been out there for quite some time. It's hard to believe that Giannis Antetokounmpo is happy as a buck right now and that a trade isn't going to happen.
I think he would have made all our lives easier if he would have just went in this offseason and
For
asked to be
sure.
traded.
Yeah.
Uh, and it feels like he doesn't want to be the bad guy
Yeah.
in all this. And basically, what's happening is that the where they are in the standings and their play on the court is going to probably dictate a lot of things. It's ironic that he gets hurt last night, and they probably have their best win of the season against
Yeah.
a Detroit team here. Oh man, where am I with Giannis? I'm a little skeptical, and although he is a great player and and he is a top five player in the NBA,
Mhm.
the cost to get him,
Yeah.
if you're another team out there, he's going to be 31 on December 6th. We'll see where this. There's a lot of miles on his body.
Mhm.
You're going to have to extend him to 4 years, probably 275 million on October 1st, somewhere around there. And what is left of your roster after the fact? Although, and with saying that, if he ever did become available, I think all 29 teams have the obligation to make a phone call and see what the cost is. And but Brian made a good point, Windhorst yesterday, and although we can say that, he'll have a big role as far as where he wants to go
Mhm.
if he does want to be traded because he'll be going in the last year of his contract. He's extension eligible. He can say, yeah, you can trade for me, but I'm not going to extend for you with you, and I'll become a free agent in the summer of 2027 here. But I know. Listen, we wait and watch. They prior to last night, they have not been very good when he was off the court. The numbers show for it. The losses in the standings show for it, and I think that's probably a concern for him as far as this team can't keep their head above water when he's not on the court.
Yeah, listen, I've enjoyed the Ryan Rollins season like many others have, but if that is the highlight of your team, you're
Yeah.
probably not keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? If that's the thing that you're
Yeah, I
pointing
mean,
to.
it's listen, I see it from two ways.
Mhm.
I've been there. When you have a generational player, like you do everything possible to hold on for
Mhm.
dear life, right? It's kind of like it's like the ship is sinking and you're trying to grab all the china in the
Yeah.
kitchen to
Yeah.
get out. And so I get it. And John Horster GM has done everything possible, whether it be trading for Drew and then Lillard, and then waiving Lillard and signing Miles Turner, and trading draft picks. They only have one first. They've got no seconds available left.
Yep.
Eventually, you just kind of it just you know this. You went through the Toronto team and with DeMar and Kyle and that
Mhm.
group. Eventually, you just max out,
Yep.
right? Like your timeline eventually just ends here. And I think for Milwaukee, I think the likelihood is that their timeline has ended, but then they're saying, well, wait a minute. We were just having the conversation we just had. Wait a minute, the Eastern Conference is wide open. Like maybe we get on a run, and which probably is not going to happen here. But yeah, it will be an interesting situation to follow over the next couple months.
I just think if you're Milwaukee and you're Giannis, because it's pretty clear to me that Giannis does not just want to play the heel, right? Like he's not going to Vince Carter his way out. I made a joke about the calf injury last night being like Vince Carterish, like the rumors go out there and then all of a sudden he suffers.
Yeah, it used to be when I like Vince was famous, and you saw it in Toronto, and then we had it in New Jersey. It was like there was a sniper on the roof,
Yeah.
right? Like where'd that come from, right? Like,
Well,
and then
that's
but then
how
you watch.
Giannis went down.
Well, then, but yeah, but I mean, and we live in a world of calf strains and
Yeah,
Achilles
I
and
know.
everything, and that's the first thing that you're thinking of. Like when a player looks back and there's nobody there,
Mhm.
it's always about And I don't think that's the case. And he'll probably be out a little bit with this calf and everything like that. But that's the buyer beware when you are teams out there and you want to pay a guy $60 million and he's 31 years old and he's
Yeah.
great for you on the court and when he plays, but he's missed a chunk of times, especially in the playoffs when you're going to matter most. It's going to be really about what the timeline of where teams' rosters are, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're San Antonio and you already got Victor and you only have to, it only will cost you one of Castle or Harper. Like, yeah, I mean, like you can sustain certain things with that player, but if you're trading for him and you're basically Milwaukee, then it's not going to work.
Well, that's why like when I'm looking at the landscape, I think, all right, I think this is going to happen because if Giannis wants to be the good guy, he already got a title in Milwaukee. And the way that they're trying to massage this, I would guess if I'm a fan of the Bucks right now, you don't want to lose Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously. And there's a small part of you that is thinking about that watered down East and what happens if he gets hot. But trying to imagine that Bucks team as currently constructed, winning multiple rounds, and then ending up in a final against one of these Western Conference teams, like you got to squint way too hard. Like
Yeah.
your eyes are closed. Like there's just no way. And now you're dreaming. That's what you realize is that you weren't squinting, you were dreaming. Um, there's this Knicks stuff, but I look at that and go, that's dead last because you'd have to
Yeah.
remove so much from the roster and they don't have picks. So to me, when I'm trying to think about destinations, San Antonio is one of them because not only do you have an asset pile of future draft picks, which I think you would need because you can't remove too much from your roster. You can't remove two or three of the good, young, exciting players from your team and have Giannis go land there and say, hey, welcome to essentially a version of the new Carmelo Anthony trade, right? We already learned our lesson through that. You can't pilfer too much from the team. If he wants out, it's because he wants to go win somewhere. And so that makes the list pretty short, where you have the combination of contracts to get a guy who's making this much money, future first round picks that have genuine value, but then also young players that don't completely destroy the team that they're exiting, but also can give Milwaukee optimism for the future. So for you, when you're looking at that, you mentioned San Antonio, but who else is even in that mix?
Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta would be just because I think if you're Milwaukee, you don't control your first round pick for the next, feels like a lot of teams don't, for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Although you'll have yours because it won't go to Atlanta. Atlanta will get New Orleans pick this year. I think Atlanta would make the most sense because you want, as I said, we have an article up today. You want two crack. If you're Milwaukee, you want two cracks at the apple. One is that you want draft picks, and the other one you want players back, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no incentivized. You're not incentivized to go in the tank because you've got picks going out the next 3 or 4 years. I think Atlanta's got this Pelicans pick that could be awfully good. So if you're Milwaukee, you're thinking, wait a minute, we could have two picks in the top 14. They've got say what you want about Trey. I mean, does Trey Young make sense for you as far as maybe what the cost would be going forward? They've got a lot of young players on rookie contracts, whether it be Ricochet is a guy out there, and they've got some future first round picks. So I do, and so I do think Atlanta would be the most sense. I think if your teams that are going into this, you have to have a good understanding that he's going to be willing to extend with you. He's extension eligible starting on October 1st, 4 for 275, which is a big number.
Yeah.
And we went through it when I was in New Jersey. We traded, this was 15 years ago, but Darren Williams, who was a really good point guard at the time, and there was no really conversations that Darren would extend with us or sign with us. And we had basically a year and a half to convince you. And I think I get nervous when you go through that because then you're making deals that aren't really that great and you're trying to appease the player and everything. But yeah, Atlanta would be interesting. You're right on New York. We in this article we have up like like it doesn't make sense. Like what they don't have a first to trade, and
No.
what is Karl Anthony Towns doing for you, and
Nothing.
some of the other players there. You would probably hear Golden State, but I don't know. I mean, what does Draymond and Kuminga do for you? Like, not much. I mean, they do have some picks, but then you're adding Giannis there.
Yeah.
Uh, the San Antonio one is interesting, but I would be awfully nervous if I was the Bucks because those picks coming back will probably be a little bit of devalue if you have him and Victor and probably Harper
Yeah.
still on the roster, and that would scare me a lot. But as I said, there'll be teams out there trying to figure out what the best. Maybe a team like Utah comes in and be like, hey, you know what? We're going to cash in some of these picks, and we're going to do our best, and we're going to try to convince this guy to stay here and add some of our young players. And maybe there are wild cards out there, but it'll be fascinating to watch because rarely do we see a player of his magnitude come out that could potentially become available.
If Giannis has a say in this and he decides to choose Utah, I would be blown away.
Well,
What
my
a-
producer,
Yeah.
my producer NBA today would be really happy. He's a big Jazz fan.
Honestly, though, then it's like Danny Ainge gets put
Yeah,
into
I
a
mean,
different
even like,
echelon.
listen, Toronto's probably like,
That's
it
it.
goes
That's
to
where
the
I want to go.
situation with Toronto. You're playing really good basketball. It's very similar
Mhm.
to New York in 2010, 11.
Mhm.
But different, not Carmelo had roots in New York. And I went through it when I was in New Jersey and we were competing with the Knicks to try to get Carmelo. It's like you have to think, is it worth it to basically break up and get rid of some good players for Giannis if it's only here for a year and a half, or is if it's here for 3 or 4 years? Because you know their roster, you know their cap situation and their draft picks. They're flush with first round picks to trade, and they've got sizable contracts to make the deal work and
Mhm.
everything like that. But if you're looking at the standings, you're thinking, okay, if we do something like that, is this going to be just for 1 year, or is this going to be something that's pretty sustainable?
Well, so this is the Raptors one. I know you got to run, but I got to pitch it to you.
Yeah,
So their first round picks, if you're acquiring Giannis, would not be overly valuable. Like
right.
they don't have future firsts from other teams the way that, like,
Yeah,
again, Atlanta
just your own.
does, right?
Yep.
So if you're getting involved in the Giannis sweepstakes and the first that you're offering, then Milwaukee's not going to look at those as highly coveted, other than stuff that maybe is like very, very far down the line, right? You got to start trading stuff that's in like 2032, years that don't even sound real still.
Swaps in like 31, right? Like
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
But where I do think the Raptors are competitive is how many teams would offer a blue chip asset like Scotty Barnes? Because if you're the Raptors and you're looking at your roster right now and you're saying, we have the baby version of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
And what if we could turn him plus, say, Colin Murray Boyle or,
Yeah.
and a Grady Dick with a bunch of future first round? By the way, that matches up. Barnes's
Yeah.
contract, if you slap on a couple of the Raptors wings players and a bunch of firsts, that lines up for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I'm curious how competitive you think that would be.
It would probably be highly competitive out there. I think when you're looking at whether it be Houston, would Houston be willing to give up Sangoon or Thompson? I mean, yeah, I mean, this is
Thompson,
the
no way.
cost. Yeah, I mean, this is the reality of the cost as far as doing business to try to get a player like that. But yeah, I mean, if based on what Scotty's doing this year, and he's certainly one of the better defenders out there,
Yep.
and we've seen on offense, he's like, yeah, he's like, it's like when you make baseball trades, what team is going to trade that AAA blue chip pitcher to get a Cy Young back in return here? I do think it would be highly competitive as far as what Toronto would have to offer.
Bobby Marks, again, front office insider for ESPN and one of our favorites. Thanks for making time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
Yeah, take care, Bobby. Okay, so this is all I'll say about this. I know some people will just be mad. They'll be like, "You cannot trade Scotty Barnes. He's younger and he's playing so well." I listen. You're not desperately trying to throw Scotty Barnes in a million pieces against the wall for Giannis at this point. I think that they're just it's a little too early with this group to really know what you have. But if a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes available, you should know as a Raptors fan what it can do for you if you go out and acquire one of the best players in the NBA. That could absolutely end up being a Kawhi Leonard trade for you. But if he was willing to re-sign and you got to pay him a bunch of money, you do that. The question, the way that I would frame it is, it actually feels a little bit like the Blue Jays, where every conversation that I seem to be having with guys like BNS, and there are others who think they're more aggressive. Like I saw the Heyman tweet yesterday, just like the rest of you, where he said that the Jays are going to go crazy in free agency. And that gets everybody excited. But if you're the Raptors and Milwaukee does not get a ton of, well, we're willing to give you a million different future pieces for Giannis. And they've got to go down and say, all right, well, what are we actually doing here? Let's open this up and evaluate this a little differently. I don't know how the Raptors couldn't get in the mix because Bobby mentioned Atlanta. If you're taking Trae Young off of Atlanta and then you're moving out that pick and you're moving out another salary to go along with Trae Young, like a Kristaps Porzingis, for example, what are you really left with? Like, are you really sure that Giannis and Jalen Johnson is going to take you to a title? That's going to even win you the Eastern Conference? Like, if you're Giannis and you're evaluating it, are you positive that this is so much better than the destination you were in before? I would say no. The San Antonio Spurs are clearly the front runner here because for whatever reason, Oklahoma City, well, the reason is that they're amazing. But if I'm OKC, I definitely consider this and just go into, yeah, we're going to be the new Golden State Warriors. We're going to put the fear of God into everybody. I don't think that Golden State has the assets, even though he was being rumored to be wanting to go there. And if you're Giannis, you have to be smart about it and think, man, Curry's old. Jimmy Butler's old. What's the runway on this thing? I guess if they wanted to do it for the rental that Bobby's talking about and accept that you were going to lose the player, fine. But again, I don't really see the asset pile that Golden State has to acquire Giannis. When I look at the Raptors, the case for it is if you think that this team is really good, right now, again, 14 wins, one of only 4 teams in the NBA to do that, and you just swapped out Barnes for Giannis, how much better are you? Does that put you into a title contender window? And I would say it certainly makes you a lot closer. And Giannis isn't 35. And yeah, there's miles on the tires, but what are you doing here? So if you throw in Scotty Barnes and you decide to say, like, I would be trying to keep RJ Barrett in this situation because, again, you're trying not to pilfer too much from the roster. But if you're Giannis and you were looking at it and saying, all right, in the Eastern Conference, I could go play with Brandon Ingram, Jakob Poeltl, Emmanuel Quickly, and potentially RJ Barrett, that sounds pretty damn good, man. And you can do it if you're saying, okay, take Scotty Barnes, Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick, or Colin Murray Boyle in there probably because you have to give up some pedigree here. Like you're giving up long-term future. This is a big-time all-in move. So you take Ochai out of there and throw in Murray Boyle. So you're saying Scotty, Murray Boyle, Grady Dick, and then a bunch of future first-round picks. Doesn't that make you really competitive? Do you really want Dylan Harper more than you want, or Stephon Castle more than you want Scotty Barnes? I think that's nonsensical. I can't even understand how you would make that case outside of the money and the timeline. You would be getting other young pieces around Scotty Barnes. Like you could get a couple of added assets and then future first round picks that 4 or 5 years from now, when Giannis ends up not being so great, could actually turn into something incredible for you. Yeah, the Raptors are a well-run organization, but they're still not the Miami Heat or the Los Angeles Lakers in the sense of those picks are guaranteed to be non-lottery picks. Raps are not a top-tier free agent destination. The more I think about it, and the more that the other options are presented to me, the more I do wonder if Toronto actually has a case here. And Barnes, Masai Ujiri's not here anymore. So the connection with Giannis is not as clear with the front office. But like if he's looking at New York, he's looking at Toronto. I don't know. I kind of feel like the Raps could actually be very, very, very in this conversation. It just depends on how aggressive they want to be. But if you look at what they did this last offseason, like they traded a first-round pick that they didn't think was going to be this great, obviously. But they traded a first-round pick to get Brandon Ingram and max out their cap sheet. So clearly they want to be trying to win now. And if I look at things like Brandon Ingram, no, he's not the defender Chris Middleton is, but he's a great shooter. He's another guy. Like Giannis won with a formula that was kind of like this. Quickly, another good shooter that's around him. Poeltl, another big that he can play with, who takes some pressure off him when it comes to protecting the rim. I think there's a case. Subscribe to this podcast, leave 5 stars. Really helps the show when you do that, when you leave a review. Apple or on Spotify. It is Leafs game day, which means that you can score a $6 Popeyes chicken sandwich. Only $6. In classic or spicy, make it your new game day tradition. Get your $6 sandwich at a Popeyes near you. Let's take a quick break and then, set up this game tonight with Armin, the big-time Lakers fan, who has been talking all week about how the Lakers are going to absolutely eviscerate the Raptors. So we'll see how confident he is when he's actually on a microphone. That's next. I know every market makes their case when stars come available, when there is a hungry fan base. All I'm saying is the Raptors control all their future first-round picks. They've got a couple of young, interesting players that they can throw around the peripherals. Like Murray Boyle looks good. And they have a blue chip asset player who is young with upside, who just won Defensive Player of the Month and is on a big contract, no doubt, but gives you hope to win games if you are not controlling your own picks the way that Milwaukee does not. The other part of it is that if you look at the rest of the landscape, who would be willing to make that move and who makes sense? Like, say you're Dallas. You want to put the Anthony Davis contract in there. Well, you don't have a huge cachet of first round picks. And does Milwaukee want AD? Like street clothes? He's 100 years old? How does that make sense? Like, what is the trade with Dallas that gets Milwaukee that return of thing? Like, that's not a blue chip asset anymore, Anthony Davis. Okay, so they're removed. Denver, they can't do it. There's no move that Denver can make that works. Again, no first round picks, no interesting young players, and no blue chip asset that can go out the door. There's nothing. Like, they're all in. The Rockets, same thing. You're gonna put Amen Thompson and Şagun? I just don't think so. I do not think so. That's the fit that you're going to go for. Again, I'll put the Rockets in the maybe pile. It's not as obvious that they're out of it because they could be in it. But is that it? I don't know. Lakers, absolutely not. But I'm just looking at the competitive teams right now. The teams that actually look like they could push Oklahoma City. The Eastern Conference is completely bereft of anybody. I don't buy this Atlanta Hawks thing. Like, I see Jalen Johnson. I see that he's good. I don't see a face of the league. I don't see a guy that you put next to Giannis and say, wow, this pairing, get ready for the takeover. Knicks can't do it. The only way he's a Knick is if Giannis somehow forces his way completely only to the Knicks. But even then, okay, you take Towns off that team. You take OG off that team. You really think Giannis is going to win Jalen Brunson? Miles McBride? No picks? That's the team? That's the vision? Cavs. How are the Cavs making this work? What are you throwing? Like, you're going to do Evan Mobley? Because that's what you got to put in there. For sure, you would do it. It's the same argument as the Scotty Barnes thing. But do you want Evan Mobley more than you want Scotty Barnes and the Raptors' future first? Like, and if the San Antonio one is the most interesting, right? And that's why I saved them for last. But if you're doing San Antonio and they're not going to give you both Harper and Castle, what are the first round picks worth to you when you're trying to project forward and say, that's the team with Wemby? Like, how many years ahead do you have to go before you start to feel like the Spurs are not going to be as competitive? At least with the Raptors, you can find a way where there is the best of all worlds. A couple of interesting young players that are not super duper stars and don't project that way, but a real asset that helps you win now in Barnes, like a real cornerstone piece to your franchise, plus first round picks that far enough in advance are affiliated with a team that has had many dry spells throughout the course of their history and is now attached to aged players in Giannis and in Brandon Ingram. Like, I feel like it's there. I think that there is something to this. Anyways, Armin is here, who is a big Lakers fan. There's no Luka tonight. There's no Jakob Poeltl, and there's no RJ Barrett. I view that as equal.
Ochai, too. Just recently, he's out.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll call it even. No problem.
Yeah.
Everyone's got injured players.
I'm pretty
sure. Well, Luka's welcoming his baby boy, and maybe a reason Luka went and wanted his child to be born in Slovenia is because when he starts balling.
Did he go to Slovenia?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's not going to play in the Celtics game tomorrow then either?
Probably not.
No, not probably not. Definitely.
I mean, I don't. Yeah.
No, that sucks though, because Lakers, Celtics, Luka, and this plucky Celtics team. As a just NBA fan, I wanted that one
for sure.
But I'm pretty sure that the Raptors and
he wants the naturalization for his kid though, so that when he hoops for Slovenia, there's no issues. You know what I mean?
pretty
starting
sure
PG 2045.
Pretty sure Luka Doncic's kid was not going to have any problems if he ever wanted to play for Slovenia. I'm just trying to look up the betting lines right now because I'm pretty sure the Raptors and Lakers are dead even. Can't find it for some reason. It's not. I'm getting yesterday's lines.
I don't know. I think the Raptors should honestly, like, if they are underdogs, I would kind of take them. Because I know I was talking trash to you earlier this week, mostly for fun. But
Raptors 2.5-point favorites, minus 135 on the money line, plus 114 for the LA Lakers.
That makes sense. Dude, LeBron.
What happened to Austin Reeves getting 45 points?
Yeah, he will. Austin will get 40 tonight. I want to see Ochai guard, or not Ochai. I want to see Jacoby guard him tonight. But anyways, LeBron on Monday, Bunk.
Yeah.
Legitimately, never seen the dude look that old.
Yeah.
The way he ran around,
he's 41.
His demeanor, laughing with the Suns bench. Yeah. As a fan of the team, I was like literally enraged. We got home from the holiday party, and that's what I went home to watch.
Yeah.
And so if it's that LeBron that shows up tonight, and it's the scrappy, aggressive Raptors, which is what like the Lakers' kryptonite has been for 5 years now, then they should honestly run away with it. If they could up the pace tonight,
I got to tell you, man,
bad early.
I get it that Luke is having a kid, and so it's personal reasons for child, and that's not you can't criticize that whatsoever. The guy's he wants to be with his kid. 11 out of 10, no brainer. Jakob Poeltl has this back thing. They have to manage it throughout the course of the regular season, so he's out of this game, and I don't think people are buying tickets for Jakob Poeltl. And RJ Barrett's legitimately hurt. This isn't a load management thing, but it's just so frustrating as an NBA fan where every single night when you're waiting for these premier matchups, like these are 2 teams out of 4 with 15 wins, and you just would kill for them to be healthy. And like I had this one circled, and this is the Cavs from a couple, like last week. I did the same thing with you guys.
Yeah.
We got the Cavs and the Raptors, and they're on national TV in the States. And I'm going, finally, a measuring stick game. Finally, we get to see these 2 teams test against one another. And you get no Luka, no Poeltl, no RJ, whatever. This is happening with way too great a frequency in the NBA. And I've mentioned the stuff with the calf injuries. There's a ton being done, I would say, by like the smarter, more informed NBA community at large, where they're noticing these calf strains. You've got guys like Kirk Goldsberry and Zach Lowe, the like basketball geniuses that are putting out all these measures of how much guys are running and why we might see an uptick of this. And you're caught between this world right now as an NBA fan of if you don't do any load management, you look genuinely stupid because this version of the NBA compared to years past is so drastically different in terms of the strain that you put on your body that it's not a fluke anymore, these calf injuries. Like, it's just not. Like, the way that we're seeing the uptick, it's very real. It's terrifying. It's why they'll be uber cautious with Giannis Antetokounmpo ahead of what will probably ultimately materialize as a trade. And even if you're a team acquiring that guy when he's 31 years old and you see an injury like that, you take a little bit of a pause and you go, oh, right. Are we really going to max out when we got to see the medicals, all the medicals, thoroughly? But it just sucks that this is happening nonstop with this league. And it happened again last night. Like, I'm tuning into these games and I want to see, like, the regular season is not supposed to matter this little, where the Cavaliers at this point, who have not been healthy the entire season, have been doing all this load management stuff, nobody has a read on them whatsoever. Because every second night, like if they're on a back-to-back, it's like Garland immediately sits and Jared Allen hasn't played for them. You haven't seen their team at all. Like, at this point, we have zero clue what they're doing. The Magic have been missing. Like, I went through all those teams that I don't like, right? And how I don't think that they're all that incredible. The Hawks have had injury problems. Everybody is hurt on any given night. The only guy that seems to play all the time is Jokic. Like, I don't know.
I think you have to start judging teams based on like them missing a couple starters. Like, it is,
but that's it. So it's
you
like
do have to
it's solve for X is every single NBA team, where it's like you have the unknown variable, which is these players that sit every single night, and you watch this Raptors game, and yeah, it's exciting. LeBron's in town, but I just feel for these people too that keep buying these tickets. Like, you saw the secondary ticket market for this Lakers game, right? Because you Laker fans drive up the prices. It gets bananas. It was like, I saw like $600 for higher, lower bowl, where it's like, you're going, man, $600 for an NBA game is a lot to not be sitting in like truly premium seats. And now you're not getting Luka tonight. And it's just, it's not his fault. I'm saying this is me kind of like picking the wrong spot with the wrong guy for the wrong reason. but it's just night in, night out, night in, night out. It gets to this boiling point where the only conversation I have with so many people is, no, this guy, sick league. I don't get to watch this guy, great league. And I'm going to the January 31st game because I want to see Jokic when he comes to town. And I feel a little bit more certainty in that because he actually plays games. But my God, the roll of the dice that you take as an NBA fan right now when you're buying tickets has never been worse.
Well, I think if you genuinely want to continue being an NBA fan, you have to look at the game differently than it used to. Like, it's not, we've had this convo, but it's just not all about the stars. Go watch a few role players, man.
Great.
Go watch Chris Black. Go watch.
I'm not paying. The
or
NBA
Anthony
is a
Black.
star, no, NBA is a star-driven league. I don't want to pay for role players. I don't want to pay money for Anthony Black. I'm sorry. I want to.
There's
pay
a
money.
lot of stars that are on the come up though in that medium
What are
range.
you, Adam Silver on the payroll?
No. I'm just saying, like, if you, because like I watch the games, I still get enjoyment out of some of the other players. Like, it doesn't have to be the
I'm
stars.
not saying
for
you
me.
don't get enjoyment out of it. What I'm saying is that you always, the NBA for the last, like, forever, you buy a ticket because there's stars coming to your town. There is a cachet to being able to say, hey, I went and saw Tim Duncan tonight. Hey, I went and saw Kobe tonight. Hey, I'm going to see LeBron. Hey, I'm going to see Luka. Hey, I'm going to see Wemby.
For sure.
And it's just too many nights where those guys are not in the lineup. And you have to sell the other teams. And you're just selling this kind of far more bland, mediocre product that you're getting just about every night where anybody can win. Like I mentioned, last night, 6 of the 9 underdogs won their games. This is not supposed to be a league. I know
that's
people
kind of a good thing.
No,
man.
it's not. People talked about how Golden State was too much and how Oklahoma City now might be too much. This is not
Like,
supposed
we
to be.
still have the dynasty team. We still have OKC right now.
This is not, well, dynasty. Let's relax on that.
I agree. Oh, I'm getting some crazy takes about them, but
yeah. Let's just relax on that one.
I agree. I agree with you.
So you don't think the Lakers are going to win tonight? Now you're cowarding out.
No, I wouldn't say I don't think. Sure, I'll take them. I'm happy to take them.
All right.
They came off a really bad loss. They won 7 straight. They had the longest active streak going. So
Yeah.
they should want to prove everyone wrong. I hope LeBron was watching all the shows this week.
Yeah. Weirdly
Because
now.
LeBron was voted, he had the 6th most MVP votes last season.
No, this game matters.
Watching him on Monday, it was not the same dude. So I have no idea, like, every game I watch now, like, LeBron's first 3 or 4 were, like, so impressive. I'm like, oh, my God, seamless fit, blah, blah, blah. And then Monday, so now I'm like, I genuinely don't know what to expect. Am I going to watch, like, Father James? Or am I going to watch, like, Prime Braun?
No,
Like, I have
you're
no
not getting
idea.
Prime Braun.
So let me make one quick point, Bunk.
Yeah.
The Raps have a chance tonight to avenge a bit of LeBronto. Let me tell you this. No, just a bit. Just a bit. LeBron almost lost that 10-point streak. So for people that don't know, he scored double-digit points for about as long as I've been alive. Longer than Cooper Flagg's been alive. So tonight, Scotty should lock him up, beat that streak, and we will slightly avenge LeBronto.
There's no way that he's not getting 10 points when there's no Luka Doncic in the lineup.
Brother, he looked.
Yeah, but he's
saying.
getting to the 10 points. But I do like this, and now I'm definitely going to
Hedge on those pick and rolls, trap them.
Yeah, they're also not going to have Pirtle for protecting the rim, so it's going to be a lot of Mamu. So he's getting to the basket, and he's going to score around there, and he'll be a 5 tonight. Like, he's going to be a 5 on the floor against this Raptors team that has Mamu out there, and Colin Murray-Boyle defending him, and Scotty defending him. Yes, I like this. I love this angle, in fact, but
LeBron tends to play good here, though.
Yeah.
He actually gets up for games here because he's appreciative of the Toronto crowd.
Yeah.
Which I'll give him a little bit of.
And listen, this is still a measuring stick game. The Lakers are good. They lost Doncic, sure. It's a stronger team than they faced on the schedule. But now all of a sudden I'm looking ahead now to the game against the Celtics and the NBA Cup game against the Knicks. And those ones are going to now matter more to me. Anyway,
You're not down to just judge on teams' depth.
No, I am.
Because that's what it's going to be. Like, Orlando's going to end up with not one of their big 3.
The Raptors.
The Raps might.
The Raptors have been impressive. I've really enjoyed the way that they're playing. Anyway, we got a break. But yeah, quick break. We'll come back. And I got Kevin Kiermaier this hour. So I've got Kevin Kiermaier this hour. I already taped it. So you'll see me in the office in a second. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Or if you're listening, you're going to hear a quick break before I jump into this interview. It's good. Talked a lot off the top about outfield defense. and what he's trying to do. But then we got into stuff with the Jays, including Varsho and uh, free agent pitches and how they operate for the Blue Jays, which I thought was really fascinating and some really good stuff there. And then also his rivalry with Kevin Pillar. So give it a listen and trust me, get to the second half. I just wanted to quickly say that I get it. We're getting like close to holiday season. Everybody starts to get sentimental and everybody gets grateful and does all these things. But it is unreal to see how many people sent me screenshots of their Spotify, and especially thank you to the people who tagged me in their Instagram stories with their Spotify raps, because yeah, then you're showing it to other people. You're spreading the word of what you listen to. Others might get curious. It helps the show, so that was cool. But yeah, so I haven't even gotten through all the DMs yet and all the tweets and been able to reply because I like to try to reply. Um, but yeah, it's crazy how many how many listens, how many minutes, how many of you were like had it as the number one podcast, and yeah, that's kind of what you do it for. You want to be able to have something that people actually resonate with, people actually enjoy, helps you get through a day. I know how I look forward to the podcasts I listen to. So to have that for other people is awesome. Like I'm genuinely grateful, like truly, truly, truly grateful for all the people that sent that to me, for all the people that sent nice messages about the rap. And yeah, like listen, well, politicize Spotify all you want. It was just nice to be able to see the tracking data from a lot of listeners and be able to interact with a lot of you, knowing that you get to spend as much time listening to this as you do. Okay, so before we take this break, I got to tell you two things. One is who wants to win a bunch of holiday cash this season? Do the best thing possible, which is donate to charity and maybe win some cash. The Sportsnet 590 The Fan is all in supporting the 50-50 fortune for sick kids. It's a 50-50, so the more we raise, the more kids we can help and the more holiday cash you can win. The current take-home prize is now over $250,000. Nice. Good job, everybody. Buy your tickets at 5050fortune.ca or text the word money to 590 and we'll send the link right to your phone. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Standard message and data rates apply. Lottery license RAF 1518410. It is also Leafs game day. Big one. Big game against the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. It's Leafs game day. Score a Popeyes chicken sandwich for only $6 in classic or spicy. Make it your new game day tradition. Get your $6 chicken sandwich at a Popeyes near you. Yeah, massive game for the Leafs. Like, you beat up on some teams that people are going to point to and go, yeah, but if you beat these guys, we're saying, okay, maybe. Time to dig yourselves out of a hole. All right, quick break, and I'm going to come back and do this long interview that I did with Kevin Kiermaier from yesterday, but everything still applies. That's next. Kevin Kiermaier, a man who's working with the Toronto Blue Jays, patrolled the outfield for the Toronto Blue Jays, but now is let's start with that. What is this going to look like for you, man? Because everybody saw the post. You basically put it out there that you want to work with a bunch of different teams, that you think that you've got a lot to offer when it comes to outfield defense. And I'm curious what that's looked like over the last couple of weeks since you posted that video.
Yeah, so I've been obsessed with outfield defense for ever since my pro career started. Like I've been obsessed from the get-go to see how good I could become as a baseball player as a whole. And as time went on, I realized, okay, defense just comes a lot easier to me, and I know the things that I can do to be really good at this. And I always have tried to do the same thing with the offensive side of my game, but it's just some things come easier to others. And for me, defense was something where I just felt like I just kind of learned my way on my own throughout. And I feel like the things that I was doing allowed me to have the success that I had. And I wanted like every tool possible. I didn't want to have any weaknesses. So I'm saying all this because I've been obsessed from the get-go, and I've always, throughout my whole playing career, I definitely have like gave players defensive tips and like how to go about things. But as the years went on, I'm like, man, I feel like people don't ask me. I don't know why, but people don't pick my brain like I feel like they should defensively and this and that. And I got to the point where I said, you know what? If I ever get to the point after my playing career where I have a say in certain things, and I know how to get guys to do what they need to do in order to like improve the work out there on the field. So with all that being said, it's one of those things where I'm like, look, I'm one of the best defenders of all time. I know I wasn't the best overall player, but for when I was out there standing in center field, I
Mhm.
deserve to be in the combo as one of the best defenders ever, and I'm very proud of that. And something that I knew from an early age, and I said I'm always going to hold myself to this standard. And as athletes and players, like, we are so proud of the product we put on the field. And for me, once again, from an early age, I said I'm going to go attempt and try to be one of the best defenders ever, because I know I have the abilities and the mindset to do it, and that's what I want to do. So with this whole new thing that I'm doing, I said I want to revolutionize outfield defense, and I know I can do that if I'm around the right people and people allow me to take these guys and do what needs to be done, type of thing. And this job I had with the Blue Jays last year, I said, I want to see how good of a coach I think I can be.
Mhm.
And after doing it, I'm like, okay, I know I'm good at this. I love it. I know I could do it every day and talk it and get the goosebumps and all the little things. But um I want to be able to help more people. Throughout this whole year, I was tied to the Blue Jays organization, which I'm cool with. They're the only team who was down for me doing what I did.
Mhm.
So shout out to them, always love them. Uh, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I want to maximize my potential, and I enjoy helping as many people as I can. And I don't, that's why I kind of want to be creative with this new thing that I'm doing. And I want teams to treat me as if it's a, like, okay, you could either have me around or you couldn't. I'm not going to
Mhm.
be full-time employed. I've done that schedule way too long, but I'm asking to be around your players for like 5 days at a time. And that's getting routine throwing programs, like everything. I'm going to break this down and tell you how we make these guys better, and all the things, the drills that have been done throughout my whole career and years before. I'm like, man, this is just, a lot of it is like eyewash and just going through the motions type of stuff. And I'm like, this is where I would apply everything, the speed that I did it, the intent to get better, mental intent, drills when no one's watching you, certain things where it's like, man, we sit here, we can create our body to perform at a level that we never thought. And with what I've seen mostly, the work that is required of us, or the drills that we're doing, it's just not hard enough, or it's not at an intensity where it needs to be done at. And I have always said it, you can tell out on the field the guys who, like when I first saw Dalton Varsho, when I first became a Blue Jay, everyone's telling me
Mhm.
how great of a defender he was. He knew what kind of defender I was. And then I watched that dude and how he does every drill on the backfield in spring training, when at 9 in the morning, no one's watching us. No one, it's just up to each player to hold their self to that standard. And guys like that are at a different level, a different pace. He's such a good practice player, and that's why he's so good in the games. And most guys are probably not great practice players in baseball. It's like we don't even practice. Spring training is our practice, but throughout the regular season, it's just like you go hit in the cage and you do some ground balls here or there. But I feel like guys have just programmed their bodies to operate at a very slow speed, other than game speed, and I don't agree with that. And I don't know, just the way I can break things down. I feel like I'm special towards it, and I have an ability to see things that other people can't, or like how to improve these things or get guys better. And I this is like my calling. I'm not great at many things in life, but outfield defense is the one thing that makes a lot of sense to me. It always has, and I just want to work with whoever wants to get better, who's motivated, and just like, look, I'm here as a defender. I want to get better and just see where I can go. And that's where it's like you plug me in because you have someone who will love this with you, and I want to see people be better, man. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
once again, like, I feel like my leverage and the defender I was allows me to be creative like I want to. Where once again, more teams are probably not going to reach out to me, which is okay. That's the part of me saying teams are very content with just what they got going on right now. And it's like I challenge these teams. It's like, okay, well, if you say you want your players to be better, there are certain people, me in this defensive outfield category, that could be a huge game changer for certain guys. And and is one thing where I promise, I guarantee results, and just like trying to rewire certain guys' brains to become better defenders because it matters, and you win so many more games like that. And if you can get everybody on the same page and just kind of get obsessed with seeing how good you can get on this side of the ball, then I would, get the best out of guys, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, it's super interesting the way that you just broke that down because, like, if you look at the Jays' results this year from an outfield defense standpoint, like you mentioned it, Varsho's just like he's his own dog.
Yep.
I don't know how much you had to impart on him. I'm sure there's things that he picked your brain because when you're at that level, you are probably dying for as much information as you can probably get. But you look at like the leap Davis Schneider took defensively this season compared to where he was a year ago. You look at how good Nathan Lucas was. Nathan Lucas became like genuinely is this guy a center fielder playing out in the corner level defender? And so a lot of teams I would think would look at the Jays results and want to pick your brain and say, well, all right, I'm sure again, a lot of these guys did their own work. But if Kiermaier was a piece of this, even if it was a small piece of it, that we would want to hear what he has to say. But also when you're explaining that answer, you're saying things like, man, I was a dog. Like I wanted to be great at this. Like you were self-driven in a way that I'm not sure you can teach guys. Like, I don't know if you can teach someone to want to be hungry or to feel like they need to put every extra aspect into the game. And so when I would think like, and I've heard this about great players trying to become coaches before, right? And you're right. You're one of the greatest to ever patrol a center field defensively. That's like, I think that's very fair of you to say.
Yep.
But sometimes the great players, they have difficulty imparting that knowledge on people because so much of it for them was just innate. Like, I don't know if you can teach some of your ball tracking ability to somebody, right? Like, you know that one catch Varsho made this year where it's like the little basket catch?
The Red Sox, Durant.
Yeah. It's like, I bet you there's some guys, like, not to name names, but there's certain guys that are like DH corner outfield role. I bet you could get them to try that a million times over the course of their career.
Yeah.
They're never going to be able to make that play.
Yeah, and I guarantee Varsho, he's like, if I could do this over again, I just wouldn't have fall and just catch it straight up. But sometimes crazy things happen out there on the field, and as an outfielder, I just always tell guys, I want us to simulate and mimic every ball so we're not ever surprised about anything out there. And then a play like that happens where you never practice falling and then, catching it the way he did. But like you said earlier, Varsho is a freak. He is, I love him. I loved him from the time I saw him, but his work ethic and all that, it's amazing. But you mentioned Davis Schneider. I've always loved him in left field. Like he is always way better than what he gets credit for. Sometimes tries to make something out of nothing. And that's where he gets in trouble. But man, he has played phenomenal, and
he made some big plays in the World Series run.
Yeah, and the diving plays, he made one of the best catches I've ever seen this year, and it got me out of my seat. I forget who it was versus the Cubs. It was for someone almost got their first hit. And he laid out in left center, beautiful. But like Nathan Lukey, like I feel like he was throwing someone out like in huge situations where, man, his arm. I challenged him the last couple of years. I'm like, man, you got to get your arm back. And it was like hurting him one spring training. And then to see him throw the way he is capable of again, like it was so fun to watch. And when guys have like that, they're like, he had a great year overall throughout the whole thing. But yeah, like I want to say I have some impact on these guys, but at the same time, like they put in that work. And Mark Budzinski for the Blue Jays, first base coach, outfield coach, he is amazing with guys. But it's fun because we all, like the Blue Jays have won not this 2025 season, but 2023, 2024 team gold gloves, and a couple other guys have won them individually. But it's like, hey, this is a standard here. Like we're gonna hit homers and have fun, but you got to play defense here too, and you have to everywhere in the big league. So it doesn't matter what team you're on. And I want to something that you said earlier where you're like, hey, like you like you saying, I can't expect every outfielder to have like the love and desire that I had for outfield defense and like my motor in there, which is so true in so many ways. I heard someone say years ago, like Peyton Manning wouldn't be the best quarterback coach because what he saw and what he did is different than most guys. So how can you relate? But once again, I said I have a weird ability where I know how I can work with each individual. It's like one of those things where I want to take like an average outfielder and make them above average or see where that can get to. It's not like I can make an average outfielder who is like doesn't have the best tools or best this or that. I can't make them gold glovers, but it's just convincing guys how every little detail and the level of lock-in while we're out there is so critical and important to the team's success, but also if you want to break it down from an individual thing, it's like, hey, if this player is into making money, I think you would want to try to be this much better of a defender, because if you just hit and play bad defense, then you're going to make this. But if you hit and you play way better defense than this, you are going to get paid exponentially better, because teams want that overall, like that total player. And once again, I think defensively, it's like guys want to hit homers and go 3 for 4, this or that. And not saying that they don't take a ton of pride in their defense, but it's just like I can convince guys to try to flip this mental intent switch to, okay, defense has probably not ever mattered as much as what it needs to, but this is why we are with each other. This is why we're working. Let me tell you why it matters as much. And if we go about it this way and do these things, you're not even gonna have to try harder. The results are gonna be there if we practice properly and allow our bodies to see where we can get as far as like arm strength, accuracy, the way we can read balls, if we train our eyes. And there's so many things that get overlooked, and like the coaching, it's just like so surfacey throughout all of baseball. So I'm not signaling out any. I was only part of 3 organizations, but just the things that you see over and over and just what other teams do and like the things that are taught to them. I'm like, man, if I'm in control one day, I would love to just tell people this is what we need to do, type of thing. And just enough with like the drills and the things that are just like time killers and spring trainings. We have long days, but I'm like, man, I'm going to make these guys do certain things. I'm going to explain why we do it. And if we just keep doing these things over and over, and if these guys hold themselves to that standard where they're going to stay sharp and with their tools and their skills and everything, then the results and the production will be there. So that's what I'm trying to convince these teams. And I know the Blue Jays love what I did for them last year. And I feel like for me, it's just getting around people and letting them go out on the field with me to hear the way I break things down and let them know that there's levels to this. Like you might not think I'm as valuable as what I say I am, but I promise you, when you have like someone who could do it the way I did, why would you not want them around your players, minor leagues to big leagues? Like it's just about making guys better. And once again, I challenge teams because they'll tell us, guys will do anything for player development to get you guys better, to get the best equipment, hire the best coaches, do this and that to make you the best players we can be, which I call BS on in so many ways, because yeah, they mean that in a certain way, but it's not like mandated. And it's like, hey, we're going to go find the best for this or that. Like you can't always have some of the best at their position working. But like I said, that's why I want to be freelance and just see where this can go, because I know this will allow me to reach out and the guys who want to be better defenders. Yeah. But ever since I made that video and it was just like, hey, I want to get the word out about this, it has been great. I've had teams reach out, plenty, and hopefully more to come. But, you know, a lot of guys and their agents have reached out to me about doing individual work, which I'm really excited about. So looks like I'll be busy in 2026 is what I wanted. But once again, I want to revolutionize this, and I want to show people that there's a certain level and a certain way to do things that can get the most out of your players. And, you know, it like the teams who reach out and have interest in me show me that, okay, they're trying to like take that next step because it's so valuable. But like I said, there's so many teams out there who are just so content with the people they have and the work and the routines. And a lot of times it's not it. And I want to enlighten folks and let them know that there's much more out there that can be done to help players.
Well, from the outside looking in, you would think that you guys' situation with the Blue Jays was pretty special because it's like you're there and you played there, right? So you've got a
Yep.
relationship with some of the players already, and they've actually seen what you were able to do, right?
Yeah.
So like the connection is immediately there. Then you're also working with young, hungry guys who are trying to stay in the lineup who were capable. And that's the Lucases, that's the
Yep.
Bargers, that's the Davis Schneiders, right? And I
Yep.
would think that one of the ways that you would be able to connect to those players is by telling them, like, yeah, man, corner outfield defense is becoming more important to a lot of teams. And it gives you quite a bit more leeway if you are struggling at the plate, if you're
Yeah.
a stud out in the outfield and you're taking runs off the board. People are far more patient with you. I just know as a fan, I'm far more
Yeah.
patient with the guy if he's making defensive plays and he's not swinging
Of
a
course.
hot bat. And you saw it with like the Blue Jays this year in particular, where their defense, you mentioned the team gold gloves, but that became the identity of the team. When they
Yeah.
were working Santander back, the big conversation amongst the fans was not, hey, they're getting this guy who hit 44 home runs last season back. A lot of people were going, man, what's going to happen to the outfield
Yeah.
defense? Like that's one of the hallmarks of the team right now. But so you got young, hungry guys, you got you who's coaching there, you've got a coaching staff that's receptive to what it is that you're doing. But then you also have a dog like Dalton Varsho who cares about it to the degree that you do. And I'm
Yep.
curious if, that environment, it got to a place where you considered staying because you wanted to stay a piece of that. Or if part of you looked at what the Jays are doing right now and went, yeah, I don't know how much I actually have to teach these guys.
Yeah. Well, boy, there's a lot to that. So let me try to
Yeah,
break
I
that down.
do a
It
lot.
definitely helps when you have a relation with a team. So for me,
Mhm.
I reached out to the Rays and the Blue Jays before last season started. I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And the last text messages I sent to Ross Atkins and Eric Neander for the Rays, I said their response is going to let me know where I go, because it was
Mhm.
kind of prolonged and I wanted to get it done quicker than what it happened, but they both had more important things to deal with other than me. But I said, hey, I want to know where I'm working. Please, I want to figure out right now. So I chose to go with the Blue Jays. Their response, they won me on. So as a player or coach now at this point, you want to go where you are wanted, not where it's just like, oh, like Blue Jays wanted me to stick around. I wanted to be around. I love those guys. I was sad when I got traded in 2024 to the Dodgers in a way, because we just did not play the way I wanted to. Went to a great situation, LA, won a World Series, very thankful for that. But I said I want to win. I wanted to win with those Blue Jays guys so bad. Especially like 2023 was probably my favorite team I ever been on. So my love to those guys. Baseball is like a what have you done for me lately game business, and my heart was with the Blue Jays and like Bassett, Gosman, Matt Chapman, Bo, Vladdy, George, all these guys like just meant the world to me. And so for me to be a part of them again, of the Blue Jays again this year, it was the best thing for me, and it allowed me to go see them in spring training and ease into retirement, do this and that. Um, but at the same time, once again, for me, even when I got traded to them and I got traded to the Dodgers, like I had so much fun showing a new clubhouse what I brought to the table, and how I acted. And I loved to meet new players and new guys who I've always watched on TV for years and always wondered how these guys are. But definitely, it helps if the minor league players or players who you're teaching and instructing know that you've been there, done that, exactly what they're going through right now, whether it's minor leagues, major leagues, whatever.
Mhm.
It's always nice to have someone who's been in your exact situation. And once again, I felt like I played outfield defense at a certain level where I know guys should be listening when I'm talking, but it's just creating those relationship with the guys and helping them whatever way possible. And I'm trying to figure out where I was going to go with the second half of that. I'm losing it though.
I
I'm
was thinking
spacing
about
out.
the relationship that you guys had just in terms of the dynamic of that group in particular last season, where it's young, hungry players who have the
Yeah.
ability to improve and are hungry to improve,
Yes.
but then also a guy like Varsho, and then you all being focused on a team that did reach out to you and say, we want you here and we care about team defense to the point where it was like a focal point in 22, 23, 24, and now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Because It's one like you think of Blue Jays teams, like they're always going to hit for the most part.
Sluggers.
The teams that I played, the Blue Jays back in the day with like Bautista, Donaldson, Edwin, uh, Justin Smoke, all them guys. It's like, man, they're going to hit, but and then as baseball changes, now pitchers are just getting nastier and nastier every year. So defense is being valued more and more every year as well, because it's like, hey, even and I'm biased towards defense, and we're out there for 27 outs, so obviously it matters. But it's one of those things where taking away a run is just as valuable as driving one in, and we're all trying to once again do everything we can to help the team. But can you be that guy who goes out there for 27 outs where your team trusts you? And the guys who come out when you're up a run or two, the guys who come out in the 8th or 9th inning, some guys are okay with it. They're like, hey, I did my part. Get me out of this game. Let this defender come in for me. But I'm trying to convince these guys and motivate them. Hey, we're not happy when we get taken out of the game. I want you guys to want to be in there for 27 outs, and the team can trust you to be out there. You're going to want that, but let's get to that level type of thing. Like no more of us being happy when we get taken out of a game when we have a lead. Like we want to prove once again that we are good enough to be out there for 27 outs and you can trust me type of thing. So that's where I said, like, I can work with these guys physical tools, but I'm trying to program their minds once again to try to take that next step from a mental standpoint when it comes to defense, because what you apply into it is half the battle. And I want these guys to be like, hey, I want to see how strong your arm can get, how accurate you can get. And you start making throws that you never made before. You're going to surprise yourself and get addicted to this and say, okay, I was here. Now I'm here, and I'm taking these baby steps to become the best overall baseball player I can be. But man, you gotta love this. Like you have to love it. And it makes such a big deal. And for me, once again, like I get the goosebumps when I talk to guys every day, and just helping guys has always gave me a great amount of satisfaction. I think this is where my career can really take off in a way. Cause I always, as a player, I wanted so many things for myself, but I loved like living vicariously through my teammates in so many ways. Like I love when guys like were just doing life-changing stuff, and like when someone comes onto the scene as a rookie or whatever and like achieving their dreams right before your eyes, it's an amazing feeling. And once again, I want to revolutionize this, and I want to get motivated players in front of me one way or another and say, hey, like as a hitter, I was like, looking back on it, and so many times I was like, I just wanted hitting people so many times to be like, hey, do this and you will be better. Do this, do this, do that. And sat here and tried so many different things. But for me defensively, or someone would be like, hey, I just need a defensive coach to be like, hey, do this and I promise you'll be better. And it's like, hey, I'm that guy. If you allow me to work with you a certain way, and I promise like the results are going to be there and then some, and it's going to be amazing. So just trying to get the word out there, and then we'll go from there. But I'm having a ton of fun with it. I don't have to do any of this. So even if, not as many teams reach out as I was hoping, it's okay, because it's like, hey, I'm gonna sit here and do this with the teams that want to take advantage of my services and the individual players as well. But I need things to keep me busy and something to chase, and I want to be just as good of a coach as I was as a player. And this is me trying to get on my way doing that.
So with Varsho in particular, right? Like again, a
Yep.
guy that you probably really were able to connect with just because the same kind of passion for the position. He was coming back from the arm injury and knew basically all season long that he wasn't going to have the strength in his throwing arm that he obviously would want to. And I'm sure that he was frustrated at moments with that, right? Like, how could you not be? But I'm curious if you think he's going to be able to get that back. Like, what an offseason is going to look like for a player who prides himself on defense, and how much he's going to be able to improve that area of his game, which was basically the only part of his defense that wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
But that's, again, because of the surgery that ended up happening with him.
Yep. And he gosh, I could talk about him all day, but
Go ahead.
he was one of the guys, like even in 2023 and 2024, early in the season when his arm was like still healthy, he never, like, he doesn't have the strongest arm, but like the way he gets to balls and release, like it's a quick little short arm release, but it's definitely enough to get there because he threw out so many guys from that left field corner at second and left field from home. Like he was so good at that and so accurate. And I'm like, man, it was always like watching poetry when I knew that ball was down the corner and I'm like, he's gonna throw this guy out trying to stretch it into a double. But once again, you don't have to have like the strongest arm to do those things. You do the other little things along the way during the play that the average fan doesn't even see that he is so elite at. And I say that because like I haven't talked to him a whole lot about his shoulder, so I don't know anything about it, but I guarantee he's probably doing everything in his daily routines where just to slowly keep getting more strength and flexibility back. He's kind of like a tightly wound guy anyway, so it's not like he's going to come back throwing 97, 98. Like that's, I don't know if he's ever done that or anything, but it's just like as long as it can get back to where it was, where teams aren't, you know, taking advantage or running on him. Because when he's been out there his whole career, the one thing that I said as well, like me having a good arm, I'm like, I feel like I can control a game out there in center field. Like, no way guys are running first to third in my face, or third base coach is sending guys home if I get to a ball because they know I'm going to be throwing them out. And third base coaches, they think about it. And I know Varsho the same way. Like, they know what he's capable of. And it's just about getting back to the point where he can get a lot more on it than what it was this year. And I mean, he works his butt off, so he's going to do everything in his power to have that defensive confidence with a much healthier body going into 2026 compared to what he had to play with last year. And I guarantee it was one of those things where they're like, hey, I don't like a 40-50% Dalton Varsho is better than a lot of people's 80 to 100%. Where once again, you kind of knew that there'd be sack fly situations where it might get you, but it's just one of those things. Hey, we want you out there. We want your bat in the lineup. Like, you're so good. You're going to run balls down and you're still going to get to balls. But, and he did amazing, man. For like when I was throwing with him in spring training in April, when he was rehabbing, trying to come back, and like where he ended up, he did amazing. So I'm so proud of him. And I know it wasn't easy. It's not fun playing on the field when you don't have like your certain product out there. And for him, like, he knew he was so limited and susceptible at times, but I guarantee he's never gonna want to feel that again. So if he's making the health progress like I hope he is, and getting everything back in here the way it's supposed to be, then expect a Gold Glove caliber year once again from him in 2026. And he's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So it is free agency time, right? And you mentioned that you only played for 3 teams in your career. But when you did come to Toronto, were you at all surprised by that experience? Because whenever you talk to like veteran players specifically, they always mention how incredible the facilities are, how good the team takes care of the players and the wives and the girlfriends. And I'm curious what your experience was like because, yeah, right now is the time where they are pitching other players to
Yep.
come play for this team.
Man, I get the goosebumps thinking about it. They dominated it. Like from the start of my free agency, like winter of 2022 going into 2023 season, they're the first team that reached out and they blew me away with their Zoom call from the get-go. But when I showed up to spring training and like as the season went on, what you just said, like the way they are with wives and kids and families in general, it is, I can't speak. I've only been on 3, but they are above and beyond. And I've heard everyone say the same thing about that. And that is very important to guys. You want to sit here and like you said as well, the facilities, the spring training facility is probably the best in all of baseball. The new clubhouse and amenities at the Rogers Center, probably the best in baseball, top 3 easily. But they go above and beyond in the areas where they need to, and they made me feel like a king, man. I felt like it was such an honor and a privilege to play for them after being on the opposition for so many years, and people thinking what they did of me, rightfully so. It doesn't bother me at all. I said, let me come here and play the game. Like, no one's going to care more than me when I step on that field. Let me show you guys, like, I'm all in on the Blue Jays, and I'm doing everything I can to win with these guys. And the way I was treated was amazing. I'll never forget it. And it was unreal. It was unreal, and it was like the surge that I need after me being with the Rays for so long. And I'm like, man, let's just see what's out there. But the Blue Jays was the best thing that ever happened to me. It really was. And that's why I wanted to go back in 2024, where I'm like, there is no way I'm going anywhere else. These guys won't be back again. I want to be back. And, it didn't work out the way we wanted in 2024. It's just a bad year, but these guys rebounded, had a great 2025, but, man, they make you, and I guarantee like the way they treated Bieber, like guarantee they poured their heart out to him and be like, just watch what we can do for you and how easy we want to make your life. And we want you to go out there every fifth day and or no, I'm thinking of Dylan Cease. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Dylan Cease.
Yeah, but Bieber came back too, man. Bieber opted
Bieber's
in
back
to
too. Yeah. And it's
Bieber.
just like
Bieber left money on the table to be back.
Yeah. It is a great place, man. It is so fun. And obviously the way they played this past year, I feel like a lot more guys will want to go there and be a part of that right now. But amazing. Coaches are awesome. Players are so fun to be around. The fans are amazing. The electric atmosphere at the Rogers Center this year, I was so jealous. I wasn't a part of it every day. But man, they got a great thing going. I'm so proud, even though, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but those guys made it fun to watch all year. And, it came down to the last game of the season, Game 7 of the World Series, and it's going to make those guys better. They'll think about it forever, but man, I'm so dang proud to work with them and watch how many steps they took to get to that level. And now they got to go back and win it.
Yeah, well, they're definitely trying to do that, right? Like you mentioned the Dylan Cease money that they're throwing around and very involved in a lot of players. And the stuff that you talked about, like in terms of facilities and the A++ness of the organization, that's been there for a little while. But I'm curious what the conversations have been like between you and, former players, current players, just about Toronto during this run and after this run. And if you felt a little bit of a shift based on the way that they performed and how close they got to this World Series and the stuff that you talk about, like the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I was down here in Tampa all year and up in Indiana for a lot of the summer, then roaming around the minor league. So it wasn't like I was coming across a whole lot of Blue Jays fans down here, but I see Bautista every now and then. I see Steve Pierce, but just texting with the guys, and you can just tell even through a text combo, like something was different. And life is just so much better when you win. But for what they did, like starting in June, where they started just creeping up to the AL East, and then at one point they became the best team in baseball. Then it was like they were showing up to the field, playing with that confidence every day. Like the times where I was there, like it was like, man, no one is more talented. Or there's a couple of teams who are just as talented as us, but man, when we play like this and we feed off each other and having fun like this, man, no one can touch us. And like I said, the level that they did that this year throughout and then through the playoffs was so fun to watch, because it's like, man, this is what life could be like, guys, if we come to the field every day and people are motivated. And shout out to like George, his year. Like George, I was with him the last 2 years and his body wasn't feeling good playing right field so much. So for him to like DH, he had a feeling that it was going to let him take off again, where he was going to have like his legs and body under him. So he was saying he was going to hit 30 homers and like ball out this year in spring. And I'm like, I hope you do. He is a freak. And so for the year that he had and like how he completely changed that lineup, Barger, just so many, like Kirky was amazing. Vladdy was incredible. There were so many guys who had, Bo was amazing. There were so many guys, 5 or 6, 7 of them who had completely different years from 2024 to 2025. And it's just like you say all year, like, yes, Blue Jays have the talent to go to the World Series. Blue Jays have the talent to win the World Series. They just got to make it happen. It comes down to that. But on paper, they can play with anybody. It just comes down to execution. And once again, they made, silenced all the people doubting and saying, okay, well, can they do this or that? They're for real. They're going to, getting guys like Cease too, like they're going to want to go right back next year. And signings like that, and Bieber wanting to come back, like little things like that. How is it not exciting to think about going into 2026 when your players already going in this year? Hey, we're going back. Last year, hey, let's see if we can be better than 2024. Like we need to be better. But now the bar is set high, which is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want to set the bar high. Pressure is a privilege. There's no pressure on them at the same time, though. It's just like, hey, this is what we're capable of, and we're going right. And we're everything we did last year, we're going to do again this year. We're going to do it better.
Yeah, it
Type
has
of
to be
thing.
so satisfying as players to be able to see yourselves reaching your potential on a
Yep.
big stage.
And just collectively doing it as a unit. There's nothing better because, that's the great part of being a team. It's like we're all hold ourselves to a standard where we want to make ourselves proud, but the guy next to us, like it means just as much more to show my teammate I'll do anything for him, and I'll do anything for a win today. And when you get 1 through 26 in the same clubhouse doing that, dangerous things are happening. And that's exactly what they did this year. And they play with that confidence, that swagger, and like they were showing up to win. And that when you're doing that, life is amazing. Life is not always great in the big leagues, and it's not all the glitz and glam everyone thinks. When you're not winning and you're not playing to your potential, it can be dark and it is not fun. But when you go and just vibe with everybody and just have that aura in the clubhouse, in the dugout, like it is amazing to be a part of. And that's what those guys played with the whole year. And once again, I know that's going to carry over into 2026. They still have to do a lot of things, but mentally, those guys are going to be hungry this whole off season, and it's going to be exciting to watch the product they put on the field again next year.
Yeah. So last one for you. You've been super generous with the time. You had one of the craziest turnarounds optic wise from a fan base that I can ever remember. Like, and I mean this as a compliment. You were despised here. Like you were a Tampa Bay Ray. You were on these super competitive teams. And also you were like the direct competitor to Kevin Pillar. So we're watching Pillar make all these plays in Toronto. And then here's this guy on Tampa who is doing like the same things, making the same splashy plays and getting even more of the attention that, how fans are, right? Like they like their guy. Everybody thinks like the Blue Jays are all their guys. Look at what happened with John Schneider this year. He doesn't win manager of the year. I think he should have won. A lot of people think he should have won, but he doesn't win it. And fans are pissed, right? And so you're there, you're collecting Gold Gloves. People here like these should be Pillars. I'm curious if, you measured yourself against him. Like what your relationship was like with Pillar, because you're both two guys, like you even look the same. And the two of you guys are doing the same thing in the division at the same time. And I just have to imagine you had some measure of, hey, I compare myself to this guy. Like I want to be better than this guy.
Yeah, 100%. Just because, once again, I came into the league when I was in the minor leagues, and I'm like, I think I'm the best defender on the planet right now. I just need to get to the big leagues and show everybody what I can do on a nightly basis type thing. And then I won gold and platinum in 2015 and had the best year of my career then, and like really put myself on the map. And then I come across him and he's like, hey, I'm coming for the Gold Gloves. And like we would make, because he was a 32nd rounder, I was a 31st rounder. I respect his journey and his path. Like he had to do everything right and then some along the way. He didn't get a big signing bonus. And I appreciate the guys who kind of had to go down a similar path like me. So shout out to him for that. But it was always competitive where everyone would always say he's better, this or that. And I just want to say, well, you can check the tape. I got the hardware for it. But it was fun to give that back to the fans because they loved him. And like the plays he made were unreal, like absolutely spectacular catches and some of the stuff he did. I mean, crazy. But I always looked at it as if I'm going to try to expose him and I'm going to show him why he's not as good as a center fielder as me, because I'm going to run in his face. I'm going to try to hit a ball to him and stretch it into a double. I'm going to try to go first to third. I'm going to tag up. I'm going to do everything in my power to use my speed on the bases to let him know that he is not the defender I am. And I would have made the same play on me. Like, that's just the way I thought. But it was like a good, he motivated me, man. I did. I wanted to prove to him that he wasn't as good as me every time we went out there. But it was all like competition, and that's the way it was supposed to be. And
That's the best. That's like the best answer you could possibly give, where it's like you cared, like you wanted to be better than him. And for guys that are 31st and 32nd round picks, that are priding themselves on defense. Like, that's what you want to hear when you're a fan. That's what you plunk down the money for, is
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, it's not personal. You got to be a moron to think like, oh yeah, well, this guy. Yeah, no, that's sports. That's competition. I respect you. And I bet you, looking back on your career now, like now that it's over as a player, you appreciate that more than just about anything. It's like the guys that you wanted to prove that you were better than, that matters a hell of a lot more than a guy that you didn't have to compare yourself to.
Yeah. And I just wanted to, once again, I wanted to be the best defensive center fielder ever. And I didn't want anyone to think anyone was better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And my pitchers, like, it meant the world to me for a pitcher to say, "You're my favorite center fielder ever. I don't want anyone else out there." And I said, "I'm going to do that. I'm going to make you keep thinking that until further notice, because I'm going to go out there and no one is going to care more or play harder than me." And those are, once again, though, like, I just had to have things that fueled me. I didn't, but I did. Like, I just used anything extra for extra motivation. But whether it was Pilar or anyone else, like, I always was trying to attack center fielders. Like, if they're hitting, I'm not letting anything fall. Like, I'm trying to ruin their night. And then once again, if I hit a ball to a center fielder, like in the gap, I'm going triple right away. I'm running in your face. I'm doing everything to piss you off that I can. That is the way I love to play. And it felt so good when I did it. But Pilar was definitely probably number one for me, where I'm like, man, screw this guy. He thinks he's better than me. I'm going to prove to him that he's not. And I tried doing that every time. But once again, it was all motivation. And the Blue Jays fans, man, let me have it so much. And I was always trying to shut them up whatever way possible.
That's what
but
I
then,
mean.
like
That's
I
what
said,
was so crazy.
I come over to the Blue Jays and I'm like, look, many of you hate me. Trust me. Yeah. But please give me a couple weeks, months, whatever.
Dude, it was a month before you were one of the more popular guys on the team.
Yeah. And that's why, like, it was the coolest thing ever. And people always rave about, like, Toronto fans and how you don't have to be the best player. If you play hard and you show that you care and, like, you take pride in what you do, they will love you. And I said, well, that's me, because I'm not the best player, and they're going to be a little upset at me at times offensively, but the way I'm going to play and run hard and just play a blue collar type of way, I know they'll appreciate that. And they did. And that's why I love them forever, man. I mean that. Like, they changed, they elevated me in my life at that time when I needed just something different after being with the Rays for so long. And I'm telling you, like, the Blue Jays was the best thing that ever happened to me at that point in my life, and the relationships and the guys that I came across. Like, it can be replaced by nothing. I'm the luckiest man ever.
Hey, man, that's the perfect place to end it. Again, I really appreciate the time. Good luck with everything. I think that teams will be lucky to have you. And honestly, I think that a lot of people here after listening to this are probably just wishing that you would have just stayed and worked with the Blue Jays exclusively. Hey, Kevin Kiermaier.
I'm still going to do stuff with them. We've already had talks.
All right.
I'm definitely doing stuff with them.
There you go.
So, we'll see what happens.
Giving all the secrets to everybody else. Don't do it for the Yankees. All right. Anyways, Kevin Kiermaier. See you, buddy. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks, guys.